Urolift. So in another video I alluded to Urolift as a treatment modality for intermediate symptoms with very specific prostate size for men who are having bothersome symptoms but who are, who qualify for the procedure by virtue of the size of the prostate as well as the severity of symptoms. So why is it important to know who's a good candidate? Well, the reason because the Urolift procedure does not will not help someone who has, let's say, 120 gram prostate. That's a huge prostate. Can you imagine if the prostate is this big and those tiny poor little clips, they're this big. Now there's no amount of Urolifting anything that's gonna open that channel, because the distance between the urethra and the capsule could be this big, and now the clips are this big, so you can't really be effectively opening the urethra. So that's one reason. The second reason is if someone has complete urinary retention, now their symptoms are so bad that they can't even pee. So that's also not a good idea to do Urolift, because Urolift is good for prostates that are less than 80 grams, who have an intermediate level of bother, and for a patient to have that procedure. So how do we make sure that someone is a candidate for Urolift? Well, there's a couple of things that we do. The first one is we do an ultrasound, and the ultrasound we can measure the prostate, we can measure the distance between the urethra and the capsule, we can measure the volume of the prostate. So we know all the trials that have been made have shown the Urolift to be most effective within a specific range of prostate size. So that's what we do. And the second thing we do is we do a cystoscopy. The cystoscopy is important because it rules out any other obstructive reasons to have urination problem. For example, you can have a scar in the urethra, and if there's a scar in the urethra, you're not going to pee out, not because the prostate is blocking, but because there's a scar that's actually blocking the urine from coming out of the urethra. So doing a cystoscopy is important, because if the scar in the urethra is the cause of the problem, there's no amount of urolifting anything that's going to actually open that scar up. What you really need is the opening of the scar, which is urethrotomy. So cutting the scar will relieve your symptoms. You don't need to do a Urolift for that.